reality. Arts Council grant. Come on. Walking around anally is getting even scarier. Packing heat on the street, man, I swear the more the merrier. I saw your mum dragged off, security's getting leerier. Unexpected item in the bagging area. Your mum tried to nick some trainers from Tesco. Your mum tried to nick some trainers from Tesco. Truth, hey.
Good morning.
Tried to nick some trainers from Tesco. I'm pretending. Your mum tried to nick some trainers from Tesco.
You are my drug. You are my drug. You are my drug. I hate you.
Hello.
You are my drug. You are my drug. You are my drug. I hate you. You are my drug. I hate you.
Come back, come back, come back, come back, come back.
Okay.
Oh. All right. Here we go. Let's party. Yeah. All right now.
Sorry, ladies. Sorry, ladies.
All right.
Sorry, ladies. So sorry, ladies.
All right.
Oh. So no one told you life was gonna be this way. Bit parts and scream too, watching hirings fall away. You got fired after a couple of seasons fronting Top Gear. Or you smashed up your new sports car, or you really like a beer. But I'll be there for you all when your careers hit the wall. I'll be there for you all when tabloid interest starts to fall. Fat shaming, homophobia, millennial please. This show turns over most countries' GDPs. Here we go. Come on in. Imagine there's no Tesco's. It's easy if you try. No rolls of toilet paper, nothing to wipe your eye. No flour for a comfort bake, not even a Jaffa cake. Oi! You may scream there's something wrong in your head. Well, could you find so what? Why don't we get some chocolate, crawl back into bed and try to book a delivery slot? Oi! Imagine there's no neighbours playing Romanian rap. No Joe Wicks on YouTube making tendon snap. Imagine all the people not acting like they're proms. Oi! You may scream there's something wrong in your head, but no, there's people who are complex. Let's drown out that increasing sense of dread about the prominence of our next paychecks.
Good morning. How nice to see you. Yeah, we're starting slightly. Yeah, we're just getting a shift on, all right? It's Monday morning. Let's not waste time. I'm back. I'm home. I've got all the equipment. I've got my heated back warmer thing that makes me look like the Galactic Chancellor from the Tharg Federation. Let's do this. Hello, very good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for being here. It's proper cold now. Proper cold, isn't it? Proper cold. What you can't tell now anymore is dodgy or cold. Are people dodgy? Or are they just cold? Can't tell anymore. It's a very ambiguous season. I wasn't ready. Anyway, good morning to everybody watching on YouTube. I'll be doing a special hello to you all in due course, in character. But we don't need to start doing anything like that just now, do we? Hey, fun thing I thought I'd share with you. There's lots to get through today. We had our first hate mail from the Vegan Life magazine podcast, which is another podcast I do, which if you haven't heard it, I can't possibly mention it on there because it's totally wholesome and fun. But we got some hate mail, which it's in Russian. And it says, I hate vegans, health and wellness. And I think that this is the highest degree of mucking around. People over 40 start doing bull hockey. Here the question is, did our grandmothers, grandfathers, mothers, fathers feed you this crap? Thanks very much. It's always nice to connect with a listener. Particularly if it's their fist and my jaw. But right now, we can't waste any time. We need to crack on because it's time for this guy.
That's life with Mic Wright.
You love it. He absolutely the face on it. If you don't watch the podcast on YouTube, it's worth it. It's youtube.com/nottodaypod. How are you, Mick? You're taking a sideways look at the lighter side of newspapers. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. Please don't leave.
I cannot tell you how much I hate that. Well known as a man who hates things, hate that the most.
Wow! That's an achievement.
That is awful. Where is my brilliant klezmer jingle gone?
I've leapfrogged.
Why has it been replaced with this parping indignity?
I've leapfrogged Giles Corran for the first and only time, and in the only context.
Yes.
It's great to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, good morning, hello.
Good morning.
Didn't we do something last week, though? You didn't see me.
Yeah, but I couldn't see you. And
I know.
It makes a big difference to see that cherubic,
and I don't have a cherubic face. Like, why are you doing this morning? You knew I was annoyed already.
I don't know. Look, let's crack on then. You wanted to talk about, and I must stress, sea lioning from columns. This is not seagulling. That's a different thing.
Seagulling is different. I'm not allowed to swear, but you're allowed to talk about seagulling.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. But now you.
But if you don't know, don't Google it.
And now you're quoting Biggie. If you know, now you know. Anyway.
You're crediting me with references that it's not a chance.
Well, look it up. It is a reference from the mid-90s. It's hardly
great days
hugely
for pop.
Contemporary.
I loved the pop. I loved Steps.
Yes. Okay, fine. Hello. Right,
Hello,
let's just
hello.
restart this. Let's pretend
Sure.
none of that happened.
Mic Wright's here to analyse the world of journalism.
Taking a sideways look at the news.
No, let's not.
By the way,
Yeah.
Giles Corran actually says that without any irony on
Seriously?
the show. Yeah, without irony.
Wow. He's one of those people that you can just put anything in front of them and they'll just read it because they're too lazy to actually go through it and say, would I actually say that?
Yes.
You can have a lot of fun with those people.
Yeah. He's also a terrible radio presenter. As just a side issue, but he's a terrible.
I kind of want to listen. I haven't listened. I keep
He
meaning to.
speaks at such a speed throughout, and there's no variation in tone or speed. So it's like, and of course, for legal reasons, I must say I'm not making any accusations here.
No.
But it's like being cornered in a bar by a cokehead, but just for 3 hours.
Sure.
And in the trail for his show, he talks about how. I'm going to have some things from chefs and some chats with my celebrity friends. Again, said without irony. his celebrity
Because
friends.
he will literally say anything for money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
put it in front
Also,
of him. He'll read it.
we know that he has no friends. He has, in the words of Ron Swanson, workplace proximity associates. Anyway, sorry.
What is sea lioning?
Sea lioning is where basically in an argument someone will say, well, I'm just here trying to have a debate with you, a very sensible and reasoned debate. Why won't you debate me on my terms, etc., while they are actually sort of undermining you throughout in the way that they are framing the debate, talking about the debate. And columnists do this a lot, but listeners and viewers, if you want, do go to my Twitter, look up a conversation I had last night with Lord Danny Finkelstein, Tory Lord and Times columnist, in which he
At Broken Bottle Boy.
had at length does sea lioning. You'll see what it is. With the argument essentially that I only write a media criticism newsletter because I'm incapable of getting a column in a national newspaper simply by dint of being of failing to become a political advisor to the Conservative Party and then being ennobled to the Lords by George Osborne and then having a column in the Times.
You picked the wrong dad as well. Let's not forget.
Yeah, and I failed to emerge from the correct uterus. So all of these things.
What did you emerge from?
An incorrect uterus.
Oh, okay.
Apologies to my mother.
By the way, those are the best ones. But carry on.
Yes. So what this all comes from was triggered by was that I wrote something yesterday around Matthew Syed, former ping pong paddle wielder turned Times columnist, basically wrote a column in which I summed up as, others don't necessarily agree, and you're free to read it if you have a Time subscription. Why would you do that if you weren't forced to?
Yeah. It sort of annoys me. There should be like a sort of a hate tier, where you could just subscribe to hate read stuff. So
essentially, he did something which I like to call, it's a sort of variant of what I like to call thought for the day logic. So on Thought for the Day on Radio 4, usually when it's a Christian speaker, they follow logic of, and in a way, isn't that a little bit like Jesus?
Right. So anything at all in the news or whatever.
Yeah, go. And like Billy Connolly had in his audience with Billy Connolly, which came out a year after I was born. I realised while looking this up, which is whatever. But where he has the vicar talking about going to the football and the vicar's son ending up saying, "Daddy, did Jesus play for Tottenham Hotspur?" But anyway, much better in his accent. But anyway, the point with this being, what it is this kind of thing where you just tenuously do a segue, but also in doing that segue, give yourself access to the moral authority that you yourself don't have. So you sort of go, well, as Jesus said, and then it's like, fine, whatever you say is then protected by.
Yeah. By the way, Lionel Crapping is coming up a little bit later on in the podcast. The Reverend Lionel Crapping with his Let's Stop
Excellent. I can't wait for
it's
that.
A great song.
But another variant of this is what columnists do, which is, so Matthew Syed read a book about neuroscience, and then he uses that book to basically bolster the opinion he was going to have anyway, which in this case is, it's not just MPs who believe they've done no wrong. We all lie to ourselves, which to me is what this is. It's very, moving the debate away from the specific, people like Owen Paterson and Boris Johnson, our deeply corrupt Prime Minister, to the general and saying, well, don't we all lie to ourselves to some extent?
Sure.
Anyway, yeah. So this is what I was writing about yesterday. And I think that it's just interesting the way that this always happens. And the other thing that you'll get people going, well, at the other end of the spectrum, get people like James O'Brien on LBC saying, well, this time, this is the end for Boris Johnson. This time he's really gone too far.
This is really it. No, that is it. No, I've had enough.
All the other times.
Sure.
And it's just a kind of carnivalesque thing where he gets to do a sort of morally outraged monologue while 20 minutes earlier having taken his lead in from Nick Ferrari. And you sort of think, if you were this moral bastion, you wouldn't be on LBC, and prior to that, you wouldn't have been had your own ITV.
Mick, how do you reach these people if you
Yeah.
don't go on their platform?
And you wouldn't
How
have
do you do
had
it?
your own ITV show, a Jeremy Kyle style politics debate show called O'Brien, in which you wore a suit.
I hope
and
it was like OH, comma, Brian, exclamation mark.
Yeah,
that would be
have
great.
been amazing. But what's interesting with James O'Brien, and this happens a lot with editors. So there was a guy called David Rowan who was an editor and just a kind of a normal reporter for The Guardian and other places. And when he became editor of Wired, Condé Nast gave him a full makeover, an expensive. Suddenly, he went from being like this kind of schlubby-ish guy to like super cool, knowing about the future guy. And what happened with James O'Brien with LBC is that he went from being kind of like a guy who'd been a hack on the Express, and then a kind of writer for appearing on ITV doing this kind of pseudo right-wing show, to being on LBC kind of bit dressed down, bit centre left, bit kind of like says what he means, and you just think this is all branding, which is fine. You can change your opinions over time, but it's transparently branding.
One of the things with James O'Brien that I find difficult is that kind of, I've gone on a journey this morning. You know what I mean? We've learned together, haven't we? We've learned together.
Yeah.
By me sort of leading you a trail of M&Ms to where I wanted to get you to. We've gone on a journey.
But the other thing I wrote about yesterday was Robert Colville, who is the director of the think tank that Margaret Thatcher founded, the Centre for Policy Studies, also a Sunday Times columnist, and a co-author of the Conservative Party manifesto in 2019. He wrote a tweet where he said, "It's depressing how some people have gone from 'we need greater civility in politics' to 'the Tories are irredeemably corrupt with barely a breath.'" And you just think, you said this out loud. You've said this out loud. Mm-hmm. It's bizarre to me because what happens is the demand for civility is essentially just a synonym for know your place. Well, it says, look, just don't. Sure. Can you stop being rude about the fact that we keep giving millions and millions of pounds to our friends and relatives? And he's like, so what are we expected to do? And this is the same thing that happened with Daniel Feinstein. He said to me, I thought you were interested in debating and ideas, but you simply won't accept when I say you're not a very good writer and you just want a column. And you go, how does this... It's impossible to debate this because you say, well, that's not the case. And they say, look at you there, getting annoyed, getting angry. Why can't you be civil? There's another... I mean, I've tried to make this all about Twitter, but there was another tweet the other day by Tom Harwood saying, the left, they just like to shout all the time. And you think, the Daily Mail shouts a lot. The right shout a lot. But when they shout, it's debate. But when the left shouts, it's, look at the...
Absolutely loonies.
The loony left.
Well, we could just lead by example, Mick. Maybe it wouldn't kill us, mate.
Yeah. And
you're a very angry man, mate.
The final thing I want to talk about, talking about angry men, is Jeremy Clarkson's column yesterday was headlined as if the headline had been generated by artificial intelligence, fed on his previous columns, was headlined, "If Greta and her pals really want to get results, they should try protesting in Tiananmen Square." And he went on in the column to say that the problem with this 18-year-old woman, who he called an annoying little bucket of ego, is that she needs a smacked bottom. Wow. And she's not as committed as the monk who set fire to himself protesting against the oppression of Buddhists during the Vietnam War, or Emily Davison, the suffragette who fatally threw herself in front of the King's horse at the Derby in 1913. But of course, had Clarkson been present at those events, like some kind of controversial zealot, he would have raged at the monk causing a traffic jam and cursed Davison for spoiling his day out of the races. The thing that I particularly thought was interesting in this column is Clarkson took time, when talking about the monk who self-immolated, to mention the brand of car that he'd stepped out of. Of course, it was an Austin 45.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
They're not bad for self-immolation, but for my money, I'd always go for a VW. That's taken. Let's hope nothing happens to Greta Thunberg, although I'm sure he'll find an easy way to climb down.
But this is the thing I want to think about civility, right?
Yeah.
In the same, so on the day that Robert Colville is saying, there's not enough civility around and people aren't civil, he's sharing pages of the Sunday Times in which it's seemingly acceptable for a 61-year-old father of how many kids?
3, I think.
Clarkson had father of 3 to write stuff like that about an 18-year-old woman in a national newspaper? It just, like, where's the civility in that? Why is that even vaguely acceptable?
Yeah, but that's different, mate. She had it coming. She had it coming, mate. There's been some great reaction coming in, Mick, that I'd quite like to share with you.
Am I going to enjoy this?
I want to say hello to Dark Hermit, who's joined us, I think, for the first time on YouTube, who says he's delighted to learn that, he says, for the first time in my life, what I imagine someone looks like from only hearing their voice is exactly what they actually look like. That's you. I mean, it's not a qualitative statement. Neil says, seagulling, 90s tunes, that's a normal weekend, isn't it? And Pablo says, I liked Syed's podcast, but I wasn't aware of him other than that. But after reading Mick's piece, the blinkers have been lifted. He really does do the linking random stuff to seemingly prove his argument thing. So that's an avenue of pleasure you've shut down there, Mick. Well done.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. The last thing I want to talk about was that Rod Liddle was also in the Sunday Times yesterday, and the headline of his piece was that the Tories will keep getting away with this sleaze. I mean, who's going to vote for the other lot? And of course, what he's doing is he raises the case of Claudia Webb, who was sentenced last week for harassment, expelled from Labour, and is likely to end up not being an MP. There'll be a recall election. Sure. You know what's interesting about this is that Rod Liddle continues to be allowed to be a arbiter of morality. Now, this is a man who, in the immortal words of the Irish football pundit Eamon Dunphy, he said of Rod Liddle, wasn't he the one who ran away and left his wife for a young one? That's correct. It's also the case that Rod Liddle accepted a caution for assaulting his pregnant girlfriend, and wrote a column in which he said he could not become a teacher because he didn't think he could remotely conceive of not trying to shag the kids.
Yeah, but only down to 14 years old.
Only down to 14 years old.
Come on.
Come on, mate. Come on.
Come on, mate. Get real.
So I just end with this is that I believe that taking moral advice from Rod Liddle is like asking Joseph Fritzl to renovate your basement.
Oh, there it is.
Every day the papers pump out.
There it is. Hey!
The fifth column's
Mick, thank you very much. People should go and subscribe. brokenbottleboy.substack.com.
Yes, why not? It's in the words of a Tory lord, it is moderately. Hang on, I have to get the specific words here.
You've got to get your poster quote in. Yeah.
I don't want to get accused of misquoting him. Bear with me, caller.
Sure.
Just do some. I don't know. Make a noise.
I can tell people what's coming up.
Yeah.
We've got
tell people what's coming.
Controversial
okay, here we go.
Coins.
Sorry.
I'm in the middle of telling people what's coming up now.
In the words of Times columnist,
then we've
Tory
got.
Lord,
I'm sorry.
The newspaper is the newsletter is not super compelling, but of moderate value. So do sign up for that. Not super compelling, but of moderate value.
That's amazing. I would say that's great, considering my podcast is of no value. But some people do seem to have a joyless compulsion to tune in, which I do appreciate them doing. Mick, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
I'll enjoy the rest of the show as a listener.
Yeah. We'll see you when you hop on YouTube, maybe, hopefully. That's always nice. Bye-bye. Mick Wright, ladies and gentlemen. Broken Bottle. Thank you. Charming. It's brokenbottleboy.substack.com. Now, coming up, we've got Controversial for Coins. We've also got news of a new thing that I want to do. But in the meantime, and yes, thank you, I am filling while I find the jingle. Where's the blimmin' jingle gone? Wait a minute. It's here.
Come and bring high as you can.
Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Mick. Good morning, John. In fact, good morning to everyone watching on YouTube. Good morning, Pablo. Good morning, Steph. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Dark Hermit. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Martin. Good morning, indeed, everybody. It's me, the Reverend Lionel Crapping. And good morning. And in the news, I watched a brave group of people plunging into the freezing North Sea to protest about the dumping of sewage. And you know, as I watched the young men, their hard young bodies frolicking in the chilly waves, their nipples like frozen blobs of chewing gum on their tightened chests, I admired them. I admired them really hard. And I thought to myself, that's rather like Jesus, isn't it? I don't mean those strapping young lads, ladies, of course, with the fabric of their flimsy swimming shorts clinging to their pert, round, wet buttocks. Young lads whose flesh was so cold, but yet still with little warm crevices to be found where the blood runs closer to the skin, and their pounding hearts can be seen pulsing through them. No, rather, I'm in the sewage outlet, for just as sewerage sprays excrement everywhere, covering everybody, so Jesus does, only with love or something. And just like Jesus nourishes us with his divine sacrifice, oh God, so does the raw sewerage nourisheth the prawn. There's a little black stripe that runs through every prawn, perhaps like a black stripe runs through the souls of us all, our souls. And perhaps rather than pulling it out, we should realize that it's in that dark little stripe that God's love is strongest of all. And as that protest came to an end, as the young men, women of course, returned from the sea, patting down their sinuous bodies, the towels flapping teasingly as they tried, without success, to preserve their modesty as they changed. So I adjusted my binoculars in the dunes and found myself saying, "Oh, God. Bye-bye, everybody."
Controversial for coins. WhatsApp John Holmes now on 07862 032 654.
So Owen Patterson has resigned, but that's not good enough for the loony left. Now they're calling for Jacob Rees-Mogg to resign as well. I don't see what all the fuss is about. All Owen Patterson did was, do a few questions for money when we were paying him at the same time or something,
I've got the mug.
He's a public servant. How literally do we need to interpret that? Is he supposed to iron our newspapers in the morning? What would you like to see our public servants doing to serve us and that? Punters, it's over to you! Here's John Holmes, controversial
Public
for coins.
servants.
Yeah.
Public servants,
Yeah,
MPs,
yeah.
are public servants, right?
Yeah,
And,
right.
Okay, look at the origin of that, right?
Yeah.
Where does the word servant even come from,
Oh,
right?
God.
Well, it's from servile, isn't it? Which
I
is
haven't
the
watched
Latin
this.
Savile.
Oh,
So basically, MPs are nonces, all of them,
God,
and that proves
John.
it. They consider themselves to be public savils, because that's where the word comes from. The original Latin for servant is Jimmy Savile. So
Very controversial.
they're all not. I'm saying that all MPs are nonces,
Oh,
right?
God,
That's what I'm
John.
saying. So by being public servants, right, they're disgusting and despicable people who do that sort of thing, right? So put that in your string vest and cigar and smoke it.
John Holmes,
Hello.
ladies and gentlemen.
I've
Any
got
more
no
reaction?
problem with Owen Patterson taking money for questions at all.
Right.
In fact, it was only last week I was doing the same and won a cheeky tenner.
Right.
I would have won more on the Deal or No Deal pub quiz game, but I don't know an awful lot about the mated habits of ocelots. I've got my own problems, though.
Yeah.
Turns out I didn't have a cold sore at all.
Right.
It was coleslaw. I've been putting an antiviral ointment on a piece of cabbage for 2 weeks.
I think we've got to remember that these are not public servants. These are members of Parliament. They are there as God's representatives on earth to do God's wills via the Queen's and partly to do with us.
Well, I've never quite understood this concept
Yeah.
of public serpents. I hear so much about.
Right.
What are they supposed to do? Rid us of field mice
Yeah.
or other things
Right.
that British snakes of the islands, not including Ireland.
Yeah.
And that says something, doesn't it? You don't get any snakes in Ireland, in Europe. So I would say public serpents. Stay here if you're British and do what you do. Kill dormice. That's my answer, and I hope everyone takes some notice of that. Toodles.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Pablo, Neil, and Duncan, for that. Absolutely no thanks whatsoever to John Holmes. Absolutely destroying my presence online forever. We have had some more reaction coming into that. David Alt on Twitter. It's at NotTodayPod if you want to join the debates. He says, well, I'd make do with politicians being A, subject to the same rules as the rest of us, B, have their pay linked to the median wage so they're motivated to help everyone, and C, have penalties that actually mean something to them rather than being able to steal billions and walk away. Well, thank you, Chairman Mao. Wow. Unbelievable. Dark Hermit watching on YouTube says, oh wow, it's an actual cup that you put your controversial for coins into. Yes, it's not a sound effect. It's live Foley on the internet. If you want to subscribe, it's youtube.com/nottodaypod. And then if you click on the little alarm bell thing, when I go live, it will just tell you. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. We have had some other emails. I have not checked my emails for ages and ages. I even got one from Lindsay saying happy belated birthday. That was like 3 weeks ago. I don't know. I also forgot to read out Neil's top trolling email for me. We'll save it for next week. Heady's still going though. Dear Jape, do turnips contain sulphur? If so, is it a naturally occurring thing, or do the scientists inject it into them? Yeah, pretty sure they inject it. P.S. Do you recommend Daleks? Not the new ones. The new updates, not really very good. You know when people ring into radio stations and ask the DJ to play Winds of Change by the Scorpions? Why don't they just play it themselves? I hate the whistling at the beginning, by the way. Love Hedy. Thank you, Hedy. It's always nice to receive a missive from you. Gemma has the best news ever, which is that Flora Buttery's going vegan again. Brilliant. I'll take you back, Flora. I'll take you back. And I was thinking about COP26, right? And I've missed your sort of email anecdotes a lot. And if you want, you can always send it as a message on WhatsApp, 07862 032 654. But have you got any good stories about conferences? I was thinking about COP26. I was thinking, I wonder what's going on there. And all the sort of attendant puns that come with the word COP. And I remembered I went to a conference. It was like my first conference. And I was 21. My boss was quite a fearsome woman, and we all got very, very drunk at the conference. And sort of some stuff I sort of forgot in the moment. But then I had a meeting on the Monday morning, and it all suddenly came flooding back to me. And I sort of snorted with, a sort of the memory of it in the meeting. And it was just me and this boss and one other woman who's this very, very sweet, very innocent woman. And I kind of went, and my boss was like, what? And I said, no, nothing, don't worry about it. And she was like, no, I'd like to know what? And I said, no, I just remembered something you said on Saturday night. Don't worry about it. And she said, well, what did I say? I said, no, don't, I'll tell you. She said, no, come on, what did I say? And I said, well, you were in the bar loudly telling everyone how good you are at sucking the dust off sausages. That's the story. And in fairness, I mean, that's not the phrase she used, but it's a family show. In fairness, she doubled down and said, well, I am. Fair play. She went a long way. I did not. Anyway, what have you got up to at a conference, or what have you seen? What have you beheld at a conference? It's nottoday@swanburst.com. Neil says, was this woman Ant from Ant and Dec? No, but I'm delighted that you at least got the right region. Or I did, or whatever. So that's good. Dark Hermit's thrilled at the Flora Buttery news. Now we can all pretend we can tell the difference from the normal Flora again. It's just saltier. It's just a bit saltier. I love it. Now that's more or less it for the show. But I'm thinking next week, I want to do some kind of a game show. I think it would be fun. I haven't done a sort of a fun interactive quiz thing. And I was thinking we could do it live with like a video call on WhatsApp. So if you wanted to do that, why don't you drop me a line on WhatsApp? Put your name on because it doesn't come up with your name. So it's 07862 032654. If you'd like to play some sort of a Sats game show next week, and I'll think about what it's going to be, and I'll pick a contestant at random. So if you want to play, I'm not saying there's necessarily going to be a prize. I can always talk to Julie. She's good at that sort of thing. 07862 032654 if you would like to take part in a quiz next week. And do send me your conference stories. I think that's everything. Is that everything? We will be being controversial for coins again. If you'd like to be kept in the loop, do the Twitter thing. It's @NotTodayPod. I feel like this was quite a good show today. Done all right there. Yes, it might, Neil. It might be 1-2 whoopsie daisy. It's not 3-2-1 at all. Definitely not 3-2-1. Anyway, have a good week. And I'll see you next week. Lots of love. Bye. Bye.
This has been a Swanburst Media production.
Well, that's got rid of the riffraff. It's just us now. Hi. Hi, gang. Yes, I mean you watching on YouTube. Don't worry, you're not eavesdropping on some conversation you weren't supposed to hear. I tell you what, I'll stay streaming while I actually edit the podcast. How about that? There's a little bonus for you. A little Easter egg. Hi. I just got to... Oh, look, is that traveling back in time? Cut that there. Put a little fade. Go up the top of it. That's what I do. Where's the show start? I can usually spot the start. Where's the start? Is it there? Nope. Maybe it's there. Nope. It's here then. That's the one. I'd know that waveform anywhere. That's it. Let's see if we've got a... See, the compressor's not on. Okay, there we go. Bounce it. Bounce it. I can't even remember. Okay, there we go. NTTY. Series 4. I think it's episode 72. No, 71. 21/11/08. How is everybody? You guys okay? You doing real good? Oh, yeah, what was that? The Bond girl thing. Yeah, what was that? What was that? Pat sent me a message and I haven't read it yet. That's terrible, isn't it? I should probably check it out. Anyway, are you all right? It's feeling proper wintry now, isn't it? Under compressor. I don't think I've got anything particularly dazzling to show you. Have you seen my new glasses? My new glasses. Gemma, your penultimate day. What are you doing afterwards? What happens? I want to know. Just making the MP3 there. Nearly done. Nearly done. Where's the thing? How do I do this? What's my name? How do I face forwards? Create.acast.com. Gosh, you're really being drawn behind the velvet curtain now, aren't you? Jem, what are you going to do? What's happening? You probably can't type sneakily, can you? You need to type sneakily. Sarah. That's the one. Pablo, it was great. I just, you know, we had a lot, which was great. I loved it. Everyone got a little bit tightened for time. New episode. Come on, Jacob. You can do this. Don't freak out. Stop screaming. And what are you all doing? Yeah, I'm happy to bang at a keyboard silently. It's what I do. What should we call today's episode? It's a bit like Jesus, isn't it? Season 4, episode, I think 71. I really hope. I'm trolling Mick in the podcast description, but he almost certainly won't. And John Holmes turns my bowels to ice. Thanks, John. Should we publish it? Let's publish it. Publish it. Ah, there we go. Right. Got to write some music for John Holmes today. It's some kind of a sound-alike. I don't know what it is. I should probably go and check it out, shouldn't I? Thanks so much for being here. You guys make it all feel real. Don't forget to enter the competition. Yeah, 10 o'clock on a Monday, it turns out, is kind of a terrible time to host a podcast. Anyway, I might think about that, but not right now. All right, you guys. Love you. Going properly now. Bye.